if you're here just for the battles, check the timestamp in the description. I'm going to be going over this team. So this is the team that I have begun with in Regulation H. If you know the channel at all, you know that I absolutely adore bug Pokemon, so I wanted to try and incorporate a bug into this team because it's Regulation H. We don't have to worry about restricteds. So there are a couple that I played around with Araquanid and Volcarona, but I decided to go onto Volcarona because I love the amount of ways you can run it. You can run with a sweeper, with Quiver Dance, you can run kind of a more bulky Tailwind option, you can run a bulky kind of redirection Will-O-Wisp option. So I decided to go for the bulkier Will-O-Wisp option with Rage Powder. The reason I didn't have Volcarona as the main sweeper is because of the next Pokemon that I will showcase. But yeah, this Volcarona, it's a pretty normal one. We have Terra Dragon just because I wanted to be able to resist a little bit of the fire, water, and grass core just entirely. I guess it would really just be water that we'd be resisting, but that would be super effective otherwise. But this is kind of just a general idea for Volcarona. Kind of threw it together. Honestly, it's working out pretty well as long as I don't miss Will-O-Wisps. I've had pretty good success with it. I really enjoy this. The spreads, this was just something that Showdown gave me. I haven't really gone through and made super specific spreads for any of these mons. Yeah, this was kind of just the one Showdown was like, hey, you should try this. So I was like, why not? But Murkrow, this is why I am not running a Quiver Dance Volcarona, is because of Haze. Back in Regulation C, I think it was, with Dondozo, or whichever regulation it was, I literally could not beat any Dondozo pairing whatsoever. So Haze is the first weapon I have against it, and otherwise the rest of Murkrow is kind of common within Murkrows with like Protect, Tailwind, and then some type of attack. I like Foul Play personally. It works really well for me. I ran this back in Regulation C or Regulation D, had a lot of fun with it. And the spreads, basically, I just did max defense, special defense with the Eviolite, and with, you know, a little bit of HP. I went for defense over special defense just because I feel like there were more physical attackers that would hit into Murkrow than special, but honestly, I feel like you could go either or on that way. I just was like, let's go bold, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Farigiraf, I think Farigiraf is honestly the GOAT of Scarlet and Violet. This Pokemon is so unbelievably good. I couldn't really think of an item for this mon because, like, I already had leftovers. I'm using Citrus Berry on another Pokemon, so I was like, you know what? Even though I don't have a ton of offensive investment in this Pokemon, I was like, let's go with the Throat Spray just because I got nothing else. I probably could go Grassy Seed if I wanted to, but it was like, Throat Spray, why not? Now, this is the way I love running Farigiraf with Imprison. I think it's honestly just the most fun way. It can really shut down your opponents. And of course, it's my Trick Room counter, or I can do it to set up Trick Room if I think that I'm not going to be able to outspeed under Tailwind with Murkrow. And the only thing I'm not super confident on is Hyper Voice, because I have gone up against quite a lot of like mono ghost teams, and a lot of mons have Terra Ghost on them. And so, not the biggest fan of Hyper Voice. It did actually come in handy against an Ursaluna before. When I did Imprison, Ursaluna wasn't able to Hyper Voice. So I'm kind of going in between Hyper Voice and Dazzling Gleam. I don't know. It's pretty much every time I want Hyper Voice, I have Dazzling Gleam, and every time I have Dazzling Gleam, I want Hyper Voice, is what it is. So it's a little difficult, but I just am like, screw it, let's just go Hyper Voice. It is what it is. And this spread was kind of something I was like, I just want it defensively bulky, and so threw this together. I don't know, it's probably not the best way to run it, but I was just like, give me some bulk. It is what it is. I kind of threw a lot of these EVs together, waiting for, you know, Munch Stats and Picolytics to get updated with more spreads for Regulation H. Now, Gastrodon, this is the fun one. I absolutely adore Gastrodon. I think Gastrodon is easily one of the best, just like, support Pokemon in general. It provides so much utility, and it is so versatile. It's also a counter for Dondozo. It's really fun, especially with the Clear Smog. It's kind of like I can run this if I don't want to run Murkrow, or I can run them together and just completely get rid of any stat changes. I also really like Earth Power because Archaludon, however you want to pronounce it, super prevalent with Rain. Gastrodon is a pretty good counter to that, right? You have the ground typing, so you're able to resist any electro shots. You don't take a lot of damage from steel moves. You have the earth power to deal a big hit because a lot of the time, sure, Archaludons are usually AV, but if they're not, one shot most of the time. If they are, okay, well, it's to two shots still, but you can usually deal some really good damage. I have Terra Fire just to resist grass attacks, but you can play around with Gastrodon a lot. I think Storm Drain, you have to go Citrus Berry for some recovery, and I like Yawn and Protect as the last two moves. Yawn is great for being able to provide pressure onto like a Moongiz and to maybe some grass Pokemon that wouldn't be able to get spored, and then Protect is just literally like, I honestly think you need Protect on like every Pokemon you can. It is just the most useful fourth move. These spreads were a little bit of some stuff that I came up with, and then Showdown was like, hey, you can actually save EVs if you do it this way. So this is a mix of my own input and then kind of Showdown being like, hey, there's a better way to do this. So it's a little wonky because previously I just had everything in special attack, and I kind of wanted a little bit more bulk, right? I wanted to try and survive it. Even though I have a whole bunch in HP, I just wanted to get just a little bit more bulk. So I kind of threw some stuff around in the special defense, and but still with some offense because, like I said, hard counter, pretty good counter to Archaludon. And then we have Rillaboom. Now, Rillaboom actually came along kind of luckily. I wanted an offensive attacker, and so it kind of just fell into my lap because I didn't have Fake Out. I wanted some type of terrain control, and I think that, Rillaboom is just great. We're running AV with just the normal moves on it. The spread is definitely different. I don't think a lot of people are running it this way, but I don't know, I kind of was like, I want it to be more offensive, and with AV, it'll be specially defensive, so why not just go for all-out offense? So that's kind of how this came around. It honestly has done pretty well. I think that this is a fun way. There's probably a much better way to optimize if I actually calculated with, damage and stuff like that, but I think overall, it's not bad, it's not great though, but it has its moments where it really shines. And the final Pokemon is Annihilate. I actually originally had Dragonite on my team because I really liked the kind of amount of moves you could have with Dragonite, and I love the Terra Normal Choice Banded Extreme Speeds. Problem was I was going up against a lot of, like I said before, those pure mono ghost teams, and so Dragonite wasn't the best. I felt like I kind of got put into a corner. I feel like people just really know how to counter Dragonite because it's pretty much the same set almost always, right? So then I was also going up against a lot of like freaking Mouseholds. I haven't seen a lot of Mouseholds. Hopefully we might see some in this episode, but I was going up against a lot of like just kind of really pesky normal type Pokemon, so I was like, you know what? Let's go with Annihilate. It's super fun. I'm just like full offense basically with Adamant, very similar to the Rillaboom. I decided to go Life Orb instead of the Choice Scarf. It probably would have been, but with not using Final Gambit, I feel like we don't need to because max HP, you still don't get enough HP to knock out a max HP Amoonguss. Now, are all Amoonguss max HP? I don't know, but I just was like, you know what, let's dial it back a little bit. Let's get some speed, let's get some offense, and it kind of works right. If my opponent gets up Trick Room, or gets up Tailwind, and I can set up Trick Room, Annihilate does pretty well. And then in Tailwind, it does pretty well as well. And I have the Terra Electric Thunder Punch for a couple of reasons, right? I got a lot of issues with flying Pokemon, mainly Pelipper. Pelipper is the bane of my existence, and it just kind of like annihilates everything, and so that's why I wanted to go with Terra. So I had Thunder Punch on there before, and I think I was like pure fighting to get rid of my Ghost typing to, be able to not take as much damage from Shadow Claws from other Annihilates, and then I realized I'm taking a ton of damage from Pelipper. So then that's when I went to the Terra Electric, and honestly it worked out because since I already had Thunder Punch, it gives a way for me to boost Thunder Punch's damage other than the Life Orb. And of course, Defiant honestly is the best ability on Annihilate. I know there's some others, like technically you could go Inner Focus if you, tear it away from that Ghost and you find you Terra Annihilate a lot. And Vital Spirit honestly isn't that bad either, especially, if Amoonguss is super popular. But Defiant I think is just so strong. I really like it. So that's the team. It's not the most optimized, but then again, you know, I'm kind of playing around with some different ideas. So let's hop into some battles. Let's take a look. So, oh, they already got the battle timer on. Thank you so much, P. Dover. Now, man, okay, the music, I turned up the music, now it's a little too loud in my ears. Looking at this team, I do like Farigiraf, and this is a reason why it's like, man, I wish Farigiraf had had the Dazzling Gleam, because of that, that Dragapult. But, to be honest with you, I still don't mind it because of the Ursaluna. We could be able to counter the Hyper Voice if it has Hyper Voice on it, right? I really like Annihilate in this matchup because it pretty much hits into super effective in almost all of these Pokemon. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokemon it hits in super effective with, so, but leading it, I'm not sure if I want to. You know what, let's lead Annihilate, because why not? Now, Rillaboom is nice for having Fake Out pressure for setting up the grassy terrain. Honestly, I think we're going to go hard on Trick Room, so I'm not going to worry as much. The big question is do I want Gastrodon or Volcarona? Volcarona hits the grass super well. It's just, oh man. I think, honestly, let's go Rillaboom and Volcarona. Let's try this. Let's see how it goes. I think you could make an argument for Gastrodon, just because, like, with Terra Fire and maybe being able to redirect Politoed's attacks, this is about as perfect as it could be for a first turn. To be honest with you, like, no, that is exactly what we wanted. So, here's the thing, right? I don't know if we're going to be seeing a Trick Room. Like, I'd be very surprised if we saw a Trick Room here. I almost want to go for, like, a Hyper Voice, and, you know, I think we're going to go Imprison. We could go for a Drain Punch, because I'm not, but if that, you know what, let's go Imprison. I kind of like the Terra Electric, and I'm going to go for the Shadow Claw into the Dragapult, because there is no, that's, oh man, okay, well, it wasn't the end of the world. We both baited the Terras. But let's take a look. Okay, well, it's not the end of the world, the Shadow Claw into the Whimsicott. I will take that, to be honest with you. It goes for the Flare Blitz. That is a little unfortunate that we did lose that so early on, but that's not too bad because we got the Rillaboom. We baited the Terra already. We used our Terra, sure, but now here's the thing, right? So I could go for the Fake Out into the Whimsicott. I honestly don't know if it is a... Okay, it goes for the Protect. I'm okay with that. Because we're going for the Shadow Claw into the Instant. We pick up the KO because of the Life Orb additional damage. But at this point, I almost like the idea of going for the Grassy Glide into the Whimsicott. I don't think it's Covert Cloak, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have protected. Unless you were just expecting it to do 19%, but I don't know if Fake Out's strong enough to deal 19%, to be honest with you. Okay, I am going to put this down a little bit, because it is pretty loud. Now, this Dragapult is terrifying. I do like the idea of going for the Grassy Glide into the Whimsicott, try and get rid of it. Now, Dragapult could go for a U-turn, could go for a big hit. I'm going to try to get a Shadow Claw up. Oh, goes for the Encore. Okay. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's a big... Oh, man. We're not doing well this time around, I'll tell you that much. We are getting some big hits with Annihilate. I do appreciate how big of hits we're getting. Now, to be honest with you, let's just bring in Volcarona, and then... So, Rillaboom could Fake Out. I am going to go for a Protect, just to mitigate any damage. You know, of course, Rillaboom could... Okay, we see the Fake Out, probably the Tailwind. Oh, goes for the Moonblast. We take those super well because I am very specially defensive. So, it works out very, very well for us. Now, I like the idea of just going for a Heat Wave, and then, you know, this Rillaboom could go for a big old electric, or a big old, like, Wood Hammer. Probably it's very similar to our set. This Whimsicott could go for, ooh, you know, they're probably going to be going for a Encore into the Annihilate, so let me actually swap in. Okay, no, they go for the Tailwind. Okay. Honestly, I think I'm okay with that, as long as we hit both. Okay. Whew, I'm very glad we hit both, because that would have been really bad if we did not. If we had missed Heat Wave, I would have been a little worried about that, but I'm glad. Honestly, I was... Oh, they just forfeited. Okay, well, let's talk about that match, right? I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of floating around right under 1200. So we're still going up against some like probably a little bit lower ranked of people, but I kind of feel like we played that, and honestly, I think we might have failed upwards a little bit. I didn't think through all of the ways that my opponent could have won there, and I think it really was that last turn. That last turn being we swapped into the Woodhammer, and so even though we lost the Rillaboom, I was thinking, okay, well, I might get Encored, and then, the Rillaboom's going to go for whatever. So that's why I swapped instead of just being like, oh, let's swap into the Woodhammer to preserve our Annihilate. But, yeah, I think overall that match went pretty well. I think we played that. Really the only thing that I think we could have done better was maybe predicting the Dragapult, some of the Dragapult's moves, like it always using U-turn and stuff like that. But that goes with just more playstyle, because I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of more used to a more, well, what do you call, like a support Dragapult, not necessarily like an offensive Dragapult, and I kind of wonder if that was like a choice band Dragapult. So that's the first match. Super happy with it. Let's get into the next match. Awesome. Let's take a look here. Oh boy, I am terrified. Now, right off the bat, oh, I need to make sure that we do the timer. Let's start the timer here. Right off the bat, I love Annihilate into this set. Right, I love Annihilate for the fact that we can hit super effective into Snorlax, we can hit super effective into the Golden Go, both if it's Terra Steel or Terra Ghost. Like we can hit into it. Now, looking at their team, I don't know what gets Tailwind. Can I be honest with you? I don't know what gets Tailwind. I really also like Volcarona. I think Volcarona can provide a lot of utility with Will-O-Wisp, with Redirection. I think it's kind of fun. So I say, let's go with Murkrow. I like the idea of Murkrow to start. I don't think there's really anything other than the Toxtricity that hits me hard. I think Gastrodon could be, you could make a good, you could say like, hey, Gastrodon does do well here. I almost just like Murkrow Rillaboom. I like Volcarona and I like Annihilate. I'm going to leave Gastrodon in the back, even though I think, like I said, you can definitely, okay, see, like this is exactly why I think that Gastrodon would have worked super well. So I think let's just go for a Tailwind. And now I am worried about like a Terra Ghost on Toxtricity. I don't know if there will be like some explosion that I don't know, some shenanigans, but let's just fake out Toxtricity. I'm be very surprised if they go for a Terra. That is a ton of damage into the Toxtricity, so I'm very happy about that. Ooh, Rock Tomb into the Murkrow. That's really cool. So I almost like the idea of swapping into Annihilate, and then I feel like we could go... See, as much as I like the U-turn play, I still like swapping into the Annihilate, and the question is that we could... I am a little worried about taking some damage, but we could always see that Fake Out did a ton into Toxtricity. What if we just go for a Woodhammer into Tox? Let's see how much damage we do. Oh, not enough. Pretty close, though. Pretty close. Let's take a look. So we're paralyzed. You go for the Rock Tomb. I'm okay with that. We do have our speed drop, but our attack is increased. I kind of forgot about Defiant. That works out super well. I say let's go for the Drain Punch into Snorlax. I don't know if there's anything they could really do. And then I like the Grassy Glide into the Toxtricity. Now, Snorlax could go for Terra Ghost. I think that would be hard to predict. I don't necessarily want to do that. They could also swap into like Golden Go or something, but it's like, again, that's kind of hard to predict. I'm not going to worry about predicting that, right? It's something to where I have yet to see, these two Pokemon in Regulation H, so I'm not going to hold myself to that. Okay, so it's a Komodo. Oh, we're paralyzed. That's unfortunate. We still get the Drain Punch, which does a ton of damage. Has the Aguav Berry, and then you go for the Nuzzle. Okay. That's A-okay by me. So we have one more turn of Tailwind. I am a little worried about what this Komodo is going to do. I say let's just Drain Punch again. Let's go for the Grassy Glide into Tox. Now, I am a little sad. Oh, we get it off. That's awesome. We knock out the Tox, which I'm super happy about. Goes for the Substitute. We do not get paralyzed, but we fade the sub, which is honestly kind of huge for us. Now, the real question is what is the last Pokemon they have? Are we going to see that? Now, my Rillaboom could always go... Okay, so it's the Rabombi being Bug Fairy. Now, I like the idea. Ooh, I kind of almost like the protect and then like a U-turn. Oh, because it's, you know, it could be like the heal, right? Could it be a heal? What would be, so Volcarona being bug fire, if you go into dragon, that doesn't do much against Komodo. So honestly, I probably could actually go for the Terra Electric, go for a Drain Punch into the Komodo, and then I'm going to U-turn into the Komodo as well. Goes for the Pollen Puff, it heals back a ton, goes for the Substitute. I get the U-turn off. Do we fade the Substitute? Doesn't look like we do. And Annihilate is paralyzed. So that's a little unfortunate that we are paralyzed and that we kind of wasted our... you know what? I think let's attack into the Rabombi. We're Terra Electric with +2 attack. And honestly, I like the idea of just going for... So they go for the Tailwind. Clangorous Soul does a whole bunch. I definitely like the idea of going for a... Oh, we get the burn off the Heat Wave. Probably should swap into our boy as quick as possible. So I think let's go... We haven't gone for Protect yet. Let's Drain Punch, and then let's go into the Murkrow. Oh, he's going to go for... Yeah, he's going to go for the Rock Tomb, is what he's going to do. Annihilate lives. Don't get paralyzed, buddy. He doesn't get paralyzed, and that's a one-shot into the Snorlax. Yeah, see, man, see, the problem is we just lost... We lost our boy, which is so sad. Now, I don't know how Fake Out works into a... I don't know how Fake Out works, so let's see what Fake Out does into the Komodo. We fade it, but it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't change anything. We take it that super well because of the Rillaboom being AV. Now, I'm pretty sure, right? Is it? Actually, I don't know if it's, I don't know, do I want to swap out? I don't think I want to swap out. Let's just go for a Drain Punch. Let's go for a Grassy Glide. I don't know, is it special or physical? Let me know in the comments. I probably should know. We get the Grassy Glide. We don't get the Knockout, which is unfortunate. Goes for the Close Combat. Ooh. So this is going to be a little scary just because our Tailwind is now... Oh, our Tailwind is out. We didn't need to do that. So here's the question, right? The question is, with Komodo, we are especially bulky. We're probably not... Is it physical? I have no idea. Now, here's the question. Do we go for the Will-O-Wisp or do we go for... Honestly, I like the idea of Protect Grassy Glide because... And the reason why I like the Protect Grassy Glide, right, is because we knew that the spread of the Clangorous Soul Blaze or Clangorous Dragon, whatever it was, that double hit move that I should know but I don't, whatever that was doing, it only would have knocked out Rillaboom with a crit. Even then, maybe not, because we did have a lot of Grassy Terrain recovery. So most likely, if they went for the spread attack, Rillaboom still stays alive, Volcarona survives. Hopefully, Rillaboom doesn't get paralyzed. If it did, that would be worst case scenario. But luckily, we didn't get parried too much. I think there was maybe twice or 3 times there that we did. That also does bring us into the 1200s, which is kind of fun. I enjoyed that a lot. And I don't know, I think that kind of shows, like, you know, our main damage is the Annihilate and the Rillaboom, but I still think, like, with Volcarona and Gastrodon, we still have tools to be able to deal damage elsewhere, right? And especially once our opponent Terras, we can really play around that well. Of course, they can do the same for us. And, you know, maybe going for that Terra Electric wasn't the best. We didn't really need to do it all that much because the Rabombi or the Cutiefly didn't go for a fairy type move, and that's kind of what I was worried about. But otherwise, I think that I really like that battle. So I say let's go for one more for this episode because I haven't uploaded in a while. So let's see what the final battle looks like. Awesome. So let's take a look here. We do see Palafin. We see Arcanine. Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really like Gastrodon here. I am also a little worried about that Hisuian Zoroark. I gotta set the timer. You can tell that I'm not used to setting the timer. I don't know. So, I do like Annihilate here just in general. I think Annihilate is pretty good because we do have, you know, the Thunder Punch, we do have the Drain Punch, and, yeah, so I think it's just kind of strong. I do really like Gastrodon. Question here is who's going to be the Tailwind setter? Like, Hydreigon could be the Tailwind setter, so I almost like the idea of leading, like, Farigiraf Rillaboom or something, right? I kind of like Farigiraf Rillaboom where I could go for a Trick Room. Now, I do want the Annihilate, and honestly, I say let's bring Gastrodon. This will be the first time we see Gastrodon this episode, I believe, so I'm excited. Plus, what I'm really excited about for this team, I don't think it's the best, right? I don't think this is the best team on ladder. It never will be, especially with me piloting it. But what's really fun is that I am bringing all of the Pokemon. I find I'm bringing every single Pokemon, and I find I'm using pretty much every single move in the arsenal, which is very exciting for me. That's something that I really haven't done with a lot of my teams previously, unless I just stole them from, like, Pikalytics, right? So that's exciting for me, at least, with this team, but we will see kind of how this goes. Now, they don't have all the time to still clock in. Come on, come on. I want to go up against your team, man. I'm terrible against Electabuzz. I want the Electabuzz. So, I want it. Okay, we started. It's Hydreigon. Okay, Hydreigon, Electabuzz. Kind of what we expected. I don't know. I don't really want to go for a Terra. I almost like going for just, like, a Trick Room U-turn, and I could bring out Gastrodon. Is that bad? It's kind of bad, right? I like the idea, though, because I feel like Hydreigon... Okay. Oh... Not great. Not great at all. Oh, we get paralyzed. That's unfortunate. But we do get the Trick Room up, so it's not terrible. It's not the worst that could be, because I can Hyper Voice and clear Smog. I think that's honestly the way to go, right? Electabuzz could always go for a Follow Me. It does go for the Follow Me. That's a little unfortunate, so I probably want to go for... Yeah, it's soundproof, goes for a Hyper Voice. I need to Imprison. Okay, that's perfect. Let me Imprison with Farigiraf, and then let me go for an Earth Power into Electabuzz. Because then you won't be able to go for a Hyper Voice here. So now, can't use Hyper Voice. That's also why I love Imprison Hyper Voice. It's going so well for me, right? I say, let's go again for the... Well, you know what? I do kind of... How much did the Hyper Voice do against the Electabuzz? Electabuzz did 18, so actually Hyper Voice should be able to knock out the Electabuzz. Unfortunately, Gastrodon's going to be faster. Oh, we do get the Yawn off, which is super nice. A little bit of damage into there. Goes for the Shadow Ball into my Gastrodon. So one more turn of Trick Room. You're not going to be able to go for any big hits. So you could go for a U-turn with Rillaboom is what you could. You can't go for priority, though. So you're going to either fall asleep at the end of this turn. I don't want to double protect, right? Because double protect would be wasting my Trick Room turns. But it would allow for us to see what these Pokemon are going for. It just would allow for a free swap, right? If you do go for it. Man, I'm just gonna... Let's go for the Yawn. Okay, so... Oh, it's Hydreigon. Oh, wait, no, that was Hisuian... Oh, that was the Hisuian boy. Yeah, it goes for the U-turn. That was frickin' Hisuian Zoroark. Had to have been. Had to have been. That's why we weren't doing damage. I thought it had soundproof. But no, okay, we're just dumb. You're probably screaming at the screen right now. I am so confused right now. I am very... So let's go for Protect. Let's bring out Rillaboom. I am so confused at what is going on. I don't know anymore. Yeah, okay, so that's Hisuian. That is the Hisuian Zoroark right there. Is that Rillaboom? So goes for the Snarl. I almost like going for Terra Fairy. What if I go into Gastrodon, and then I go for the Wood Hammer into the Rillaboom? Because they might be thinking, oh, he's going to go for a Fake Out. I want to get rid of this Rilla. I am AV. See, I do not know Hisuian Zoroark at all. This might be a loss for us. And I'm okay with that loss, to be honest with you. I am okay with it. Wow, we barely survived. Oh, and it gets the crit. That is super unfortunate. I think we might have lost this one. Boys and girls, we might have lost. So, let's go for Terra Electric, Drain Punch into Hydreigon, and then I say... Let's go for a Protect. Because it could be... Okay, so it's a Hyper Voice. We take a lot of damage. We take some health. We get some health back. I think we just lose. Honestly, I'm pretty sure we just lose. I don't think there's a way out of this one. Boys and girls. There is not a way out of this one. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. So... Honestly, let's be honest here and let's talk about what went wrong. And I'm gonna be real with you. Gonna be honest with you. Like I said, 2 times already. It was the Hisuian Zoroark that was just messing us up. I had no idea which Pokemon it was. I just wasn't getting damage on it. And that's, one of the times where I kind of wish that we had Dazzling Gleam, right? Even though with Imprisoned, we were able to stop the Hyper Voice, I still kind of wish, Dazzling Gleam would have helped break the disguise, would have helped us understand which one's which. I don't think overall I played terribly just because of how goofy Hisuian Zoroark is, but we did not play well. The first turn with the Nasty Plot and the Follow Me, I think the big issue was not getting rid of the Electabuzz when we could. It just stayed on the board for so long. I should have second turn gone for the Imprison, because the Hyper Voice did a ton of damage, right? Hyper Voice did a ton of damage from the Hisuian Zoroark. The Imprison would have at least given me a turn, and I really should have been... Like, I clicked Clear Smog with Gastrodon when honestly I probably should have just gone for the Earth Power to try and just get rid of it. Because then the next turn was when I went for the Earth Power and the Imprison. So it saved me a little bit, but it's still, it's like the Electabuzz, I could have gotten rid of it that turn. Imprison could have been, no damage, and it would have been better. It would have forced out more Pokemon, and then, I probably would have seen, unless they brought out, like, the Rillaboom at that point, then I would have been like, oh, okay, well, I know that Hisuian Zoroark is one of these 2 Pokemon. I, for some reason, was thinking it was soundproof. I don't know why, but yeah, I was thinking, oh, it's just soundproof. That makes sense. It doesn't even get soundproof. But yeah, it wasn't a great game. I think I was just being a dummy. Hisuian Zoroark just really take a shot every time I say that name. It just really did me in. It just... I couldn't wrap my tiny brain around the mechanic. But thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stay tuned for the next one. Adios.